Across the fractured star lanes of the known galaxy, one vessel moved where dreadnoughts feared to travel. The human hospital ship Mercy of Dawn crossed battle zones under a white signal recognized in every language. Its arrival ended artillery exchanges, paused boarding actions, and forced enemies to lower weapons long enough for the wounded to breathe again. Inside its halls, humans treated soldiers, civilians, pirates, and mercenaries with the same steady hands. No species was refused. No debt was demanded. To many worlds, humanity's greatest power was not its fleet, but its refusal to let suffering decide who deserved life. That reputation also created resentment. The Varkesh Dominion viewed compassion as camouflage. Their generals believed mercy was either weakness or deception, because no empire would sacrifice resources for strangers unless it expected profit later. Every time the Mercy of Dawn saved Varkesh casualties, their leadership called it humiliation. Every grateful survivor was described as contaminated by human softness. In their war councils, one conclusion hardened: destroy the ship publicly, and the myth of human nobility would die with it. Within the vessel, no speeches were given and no fear was displayed. Medics continued stitching wounds, replacing shattered limbs, and stabilizing failing organs while distant sensors detected incoming signatures. Patients from 6 species lay side by side in recovery bays, unaware that attack vectors were already forming around them. The crew trusted procedure more than panic. They had rehearsed emergencies too many times to waste motion. At the center of that calm stood Chief Surgeon Elias Voss. He spoke rarely, moved precisely, and noticed everything. Younger staff knew him only as a demanding physician with impossible standards. Older officers lowered their eyes when they heard his name. He spent breaks studying tactical archives and behavioral models instead of resting. No one asked why a surgeon understood sieges better than admirals. When the first Varkesh warships tore out of hyperspace and sealed every escape route, alarms finally sounded. Nurses secured patients. Orderlies locked carts. Monitors flashed red across the decks. Elias Voss simply removed his gloves, looked at the tactical display, and said one quiet sentence. The Varkesh Dominion opened the attack with surgical precision. Communication arrays were blinded first, then engine housings were crippled by controlled strikes meant to leave the hospital ship drifting but intact. They wanted witnesses. Boarding craft slammed against the outer hull in coordinated waves, cutting through metal while broadcasting demands for surrender. Across the medical decks, shock tremors rattled equipment, and sent frightened patients reaching for rails and restraints. Human medics never broke rhythm. Needles were placed, wounds were sealed, hearts were restarted. Fear could wait until lives were stable. Elias Voss walked through the chaos as if he were making rounds. He did not shout. He did not run. He issued only one command. Seal every ward. Bulkhead doors dropped across corridors the instant the first Varkesh soldiers breached the interior. They entered expecting panicked civilians and unarmed staff. Instead, passages reconfigured behind them. Directional lights changed routes. Access panels locked. Their helmet maps began feeding false coordinates. Squads split trying to regroup, each certain the others had taken wrong turns. Then the air itself turned hostile. Oxygen levels shifted deck by deck, enough to fog visors and slow reactions. Emergency smoke systems released harmless haze that erased visibility. From ceiling vents came surgical drones once used to transport medicine. Their trays now carried sedative injectors, cutting beams, and signal jammers. One by one, isolated soldiers vanished from formation without a shot fired. Over the ship-wide speakers came Varkesh command codes in a perfect imitation of their own officers. Some squads were ordered to fall back. Others were told traitors had infiltrated the ranks. Nervous fingers tightened on triggers. In narrow corridors, confusion became violence. Dominion troops opened fire on each other before realizing the deception. Meanwhile, human crews quietly relocated every patient into shielded compartments hidden behind intensive care wards. Beds folded into armored recesses. Life support lines rerouted automatically. What looked like a Mercy vessel had been redesigned years ago by someone who expected monsters to test it. The Varkesh commander finally demanded the identity of whoever was controlling the ship. A nearby nurse, still cleaning blood from her hands, answered without emotion. The surgeon. Moments later, his officers pulled archived records. Elias Voss had not died decades ago. He had been hidden. The name Elias Voss had once carried enough weight to end campaigns before they began. Long before he wore a surgeon's coat, he designed human victory models so accurate that governments treated them like prophecy. He could measure supply lines, morale fractures, political vanity, and battlefield timing with terrifying precision. Entire armadas were defeated because he predicted where fear would appear first. 3 major wars ended under strategies credited to admirals who never understood the mathematics behind their own triumphs. When his methods grew too effective, humanity buried him from public history. A mind that could stop wars could just as easily rule them. Voss chose exile instead. He requested assignment to a hospital ship where broken bodies mattered more than broken empires. There, he spent years rebuilding flesh instead of borders. Many believed the strategist had become harmless. They misunderstood the difference between restraint and weakness. As Varkesh troops lost control of the interior decks, their commander opened a secure channel directly to the surgical theater. Elias Voss appeared in blood-stained gloves, calm as ever. No guards stood beside him. He needed none. "You attacked exactly on schedule," Voss said. The commander threatened to vaporize the vessel with his remaining cruisers. Voss barely acknowledged it. He explained that the Dominion assault had been anticipated for months. Illegal weapons shipments, staged raids, and diplomatic assassinations had all pointed to a coordinated plan. Someone needed a spectacular atrocity blamed on aliens to trigger a full extermination war against humanity. The Dominion had been chosen as disposable villains. Then every screen in the enemy fleet changed. Helmet feeds, bridge monitors, civilian networks, and Senate archives across thousands of systems began broadcasting captured orders, payment trails, encrypted meetings, and confession logs from boarding officers. The entire conspiracy unfolded live. Hidden financiers from multiple empires were exposed in real time. Admirals denied involvement, while their signatures appeared beside transfer records. Senators fled chambers before security teams arrived. Markets collapsed. Alliances fractured within minutes. Varkesh soldiers stopped fighting when they realized they had been sacrificed for someone else's agenda. Many dropped weapons and requested medical aid. Others turned on their own officers. The commander activated his flagship's self-destruct protocol in rage. Voss had already accessed the system. Power rerouted backward through the fleet network, shutting weapons, engines, and command locks across every Dominion vessel. Without launching a single missile, the Doctor ended a war that had not officially begun. When local dawn rose over the battlefield, the wreckage drifted in complete silence. Varkesh cruisers that had arrived in perfect formation now floated powerless, their weapons dark and engines cold. Escape pods moved slowly between them, guided not by military escorts, but by the white-marked shuttles of the Mercy of Dawn. The hospital ship remained scarred but operational, its lights steady, its medical bays already full again. Inside, species that had tried to kill one another hours earlier lay in neighboring beds receiving the same treatment. Human doctors repaired burns, sealed fractures, and restored circulation without asking who fired first. Dominion prisoners expected execution or humiliation. Instead, they were given pain relief, warm food, and chances to contact families. Many found that more unsettling than defeat. Cruelty made sense to them. Mercy after victory did not. Across civilized space, the broadcasts spread faster than censorship could contain them. Citizens watched officials deny crimes while evidence filled every channel. Secret war programs were abandoned overnight. Admirals were detained by their own crews. Border fleets stood down rather than fight for leaders already exposed as frauds. Emergency peace accords passed in chambers that had rejected diplomacy for decades. No one wanted to discover what humanity might do if kindness was removed from the equation. Military delegations soon requested one man by name. They offered Elias Voss command ranks, strategic councils, and unrestricted authority. He refused every proposal. While governments argued over treaties, he returned to surgery and resumed work on a child from a mining colony whose lungs had collapsed during evacuation. When asked why he ignored history being made, he answered without looking up. "Healing is faster than rebuilding after war." Humanity's image changed forever that day. They were no longer seen as naive idealists drifting through conflict with bandages and hope. They became known as patient guardians who preferred compassion, yet possessed terrifying precision when forced to act. The white hull of the Mercy of Dawn became both sanctuary and warning. In schools across dozens of worlds, children learned the lesson that followed the battle. Never mistake restraint for inability. Never mistake kindness for weakness. They attacked a human hospital ship expecting surrender, and changed the future of the galaxy instead.